welcome back to the Basil Breen Boombox. I'm here today with my very special guests, Tuelo and Kevin, aka Tuelo and the Machine is what I came up with.
Kevin's the Machine?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. See, I don't know the dynamic or what the dynamic is. Well, it turns out he is a machine. He just lives on bananas and running.
Very true.
So I've met these out on the open mic scene, of course. I think you were doing a feature set, or there might have even been a feature set at Smithfield. It was just a 10-minute set. And I've already got into this with you, but just the vocal performance, the power in the vocal was just insane. And I remember me and Abby, my ukulele funny song friend, who I think is brilliant, we were just like looking at each other, oh my god, what's going on? We couldn't believe it. And even some of the songs, like I think you can call me Queen. I don't know what that one is, but I remember feeling so. I'm a man, right? But I could imagine being a woman driving in my Corvette, like just feeling so empowered or something. Like I felt like an empowered woman. I don't know what it was. Yeah. I was embracing it.
I hope everyone feels that way.
Yeah, but I felt they were like anthems. They were all anthems, like the Bombs and all these other songs. And I haven't even listened to these on Spotify. These are just these stuck with me.
Wow.
So anyway, we're gonna. That's our little. Now the podcast is over. Now that I've said my bit. But no, I do want to get back to the beginning of time, to where the Machine and the Tuelo came to create this musical dynamical machine. So how did this begin? How did you begin in music, in just a broad sense, and then we'll take her from there.
Oh, okay. I left home when I was a teenager. Well, South Africa. I'm South African.
Okay.
And went to the US. And then I bought a guitar when I got there because I was like, oh, I finished school early. I was homeschooled and then I finished school early. And I was like, I need to leave. I just, so many things.
Yes,
so many things
of
were
course.
going on. But I bought a guitar and I was like, I'm going to backpack across America. Like I see people, And then,
what's going on?
I couldn't play guitar at all.
Oh, well. You're like Bob Dylan, and so I'm thinking, like, romanticizing this thing. It's like, but I can't play a guitar.
I mean, I'm hoping the same thing with skating now, that one day I'll be a skating star.
I love that. You're just like, oh, yeah, I'm going to be a star. I'm going to light the skating world on fire.
I just bought guitar not to even, to do anything except do what people in movies and things do. Take a guitar and go camping and trek across.
Be cool.
To be cool.
Yeah.
And then I just had it and it sat. And I couldn't do anything with it. I was like, oh, of course, I don't know how to play guitar. And I was like, what was I thinking? and then I borrowed it to a friend. I was like, oh, okay, well, go ahead. You can take it further if you want to. And when they were moving, probably about 2 or 3 years later, they just gave it back to me.
Oh my God!
Here's your guitar.
Oh yeah, your guitar. You want this thing? Yeah. Remember you had all these dreams.
I didn't even think I'd get it back.
Whoa.
But I've always been writing. I'm one of those people who writes diaries.
Yes.
In general,
okay.
I kind of diary journal my life.
Yes.
And
so writing's been a tool.
Yeah. And so I really love poetry too. So I was always, part of me being in New York, I lived in Connecticut. And back then I would just go into New York City and sit at poetry slams, and just weep. And just live in it. So I really, really love poetry. And I think it helped me change my journaling into, oh, maybe this little thing could be this. Maybe I could try and write a poem.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? But I actually hadn't written poems. And so I don't know how it came about, but I do remember once we went out singing. So I wasn't a singer. People would go out, we'd all go out to karaoke. People just saying, and then I made this friend who was a phenomenal singer. And I remember once we went out and she was singing at this competition and people were just like, oh my gosh, this was brilliant. And so when we finished that, I remember going home and going, God, can I have like one special thing about me? Like, there's not one thing that's special about me. Like, do you mean to tell me I have nothing special about me? You know?
Wow.
And I think from that day on, I don't know, like something was like, keep writing.
Something clicked.
Yeah, something clicked.
It's like, hang on a minute. If my friend is here doing these singing contests, like, why? Like, there could be more for my life potentially.
Right, and it was only that thought.
Yes.
It wasn't even I'm going to sing or I'm going to do this. It was just
There could be more.
Yeah, there could be more.
Yes.
You know, it was just that feeling, and then from then on, I think, just like. It was one of the very first songs I wrote.
Oh, was it?
Yes. But I remember I was watching. I'm really about justice and like and issues like that. So those are things that I like mostly close to in terms of understanding and wanting for there to be like better equity and equality. And I watched this. There was. What do you call it? You know, like the one that frees old prisoners who weren't actually. It's a project. It's the Innocence Project. It was like one of the first Innocence projects in the US where they free a person who actually was convicted for the wrong thing. And this gentleman had been in jail for 30 years. He was there for life. And I just watched it on TV and I wrote the whole song. It was the first time I was like, I finished a whole thing. And I just wrote the song. It just like showed up, and I was like, oh my gosh, oh, do you know what I mean? It was that. And then I asked somebody to sing, and they were like, are you kidding? You write songs like rubbish. Like,
when your friend tells you to write songs.
They were like, oh my gosh.
Here we go.
Do you know what I mean? And so I just kept writing songs for myself.
Yes.
Really, and kept it to myself and let it be. But I also had the luck of, and this is the thing, I think, that thought of I want to be special. I want something special about me. Just kind of told the universe, I'm alive, you know?
Yeah. Oh, we got a live one! Yeah. All right, start doing stuff for her over there.
Yeah. Move some gears.
Yeah.
It was that. So, like, I would get random people calling me, hey, can you sing? And also because, and I have to say this, being South African in New York, and really the tri-state area, I realized that actually I was the only one. I'm like one of the only few people there.
Interesting.
And maybe people were calling me because of that. Like, they weren't calling me because
we need to fill our South African quota.
I don't think people were calling me because they were like, I don't know, God had been like, call Tuelo. Like, now I think about it, I'm like, oh, it was probably because I'm South African. And there's a specific thing that South Africa did in terms of, like, kind of a space in the world that it created. Our history, our song, our all of that. Like, story. And so I was just called randomly by someone to, like people to sing. But the very first time that happened, I'm in New York City, going to this friend who, like, sings amazingly. I'd just been visiting their house in New Jersey, and somebody called me. They were like, oh, I'm in New York too. I'm at this place. It's like the Lion King. So The Lion King is like this theatre production about lions in Africa.
Come on, if you have to explain The Lion King.
Tuelo's review of the movie.
It's like this lion movie. Everyone's like, whoa. Hold on, I just want to quadruple check that everything is, everything's still running.
I'm sorry, The Lion King people.
Sorry, what you mean? Everyone's Lion King people. You're speaking to the world. Like, Lion King's a universal. Anyway.
Okay, but do you know what I mean?
It's a stupid film about lions.
So the Broadway production is like the top production on Broadway. Yes. And they run out of this theatre called the Minskoff Theatre. And so this person was like, oh, I'm at Minskoff. Do you want to meet me there? And I was like, yeah, I want to. Like, are we going inside? Of course I want to see it. So we lived in Connecticut. And so I got there and I just sat and waited for her. And one of the gentlemen who works at the Lion King came out like where I was sitting, and they were just like, "Oh, do you want to come in too?" And I was like, "Yeah, here you go." Okay. I just wanted to see. And people were dressed in like the whole thing. I was like, "Oh, this is so cool." And he brought me in, and he was like, "Do you sing?" And I was like, "No, I don't sing, but I could if you wanted me to." And he was like, "Come into the office." So I went into the office. I know, it was very random. So I went to the office, and there's another gentleman on a piano. And he's like, "So you said you could sing something."
Do you say it in a musical way? So you think you could sing?
Sing something.
Everything's
Why don't
been
you
into a
sing?
Broadway show.
Yeah. Tuelo. This is your chance.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, so I got up and I was like, okay, I'll sing Aretha Franklin from karaoke. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's my jam.
Yeah, that was my jam. That's my karaoke.
I'm guessing it was that, wasn't it?
So, and he was like, "What?" I'm like, "But I don't know how to sing without a band, like without karaoke."
Without karaoke.
Like,
Where are my lyrics?
I don't know.
Where are
what
my
to do.
drunk friends? Like,
You know?
yeah.
It was very weird. And he was like, "Can you sing something South African?" And I was like, "I don't know what you want me to sing South African." And then he was like, "Okay, what else can you sing without a band?" And I was like, "I can sing a Whitney Houston if you just want to hear me sing, you know." And he was like, "Okay." And I was like, "Okay, I can manage that a cappella." And I sang it. And I remember in the middle of me singing, because I was just like, "Oh no, there I go again," because my voice is so loud.
Yeah. Yes.
And we're in a room, and I was like, "Oh no, the only way I can sing it is as loud as I can."
I know.
And so he got up and he was like starting to conduct me in the middle of the song. I was like, "What is going on right now?"
You start levitating up to you.
It was very weird.
What is going on?
Yeah, it was very strange. And then he was just like, "Okay, thank you. Let's take your numbers. Like, tell the lady outside, take your numbers, blah, 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 and we'll talk to you." And as soon as I walked out, they called me like on my phone, and they were like, "You have the job." And I was like, "What job?" Like,
What is going on?
I was like, "What job? I don't know why I'm here." Like, why you? So,
This
and then
is
they
so
just,
strange.
yeah, it was really cool. And I had like my first paid professional singing anything in New York City for like this really famous South African
What?
yeah, it was really, really.
You sang in The Lion King.
No, I didn't sing the Lion King.
Okay, I was like, all right.
I think the gentleman wrote part of the Lion King.
Okay.
But he's a very famous trumpeter. And so he had like one of his major shows in New York City.
Oh.
And I was just like, I don't know what's going on. I remember them calling me like, "Don't be scared. Don't show them that you don't know anything." just show
You're
up.
a star. Yeah. Yeah, like it's like you have to pretend like you're just like, oh, this is normal.
Yeah, you have to, you know, have to show up and I do remember that when he walked in, I was like, "Oh my gosh, you're so amazing!" And he was like, he was just like, "What's this? Like, this is disgusting." You know, but it was a very like interesting experience for me, and also I didn't think I'd get paid for it. Like, I was just happy to sing.
Yes.
And like when they paid me, I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I've never been paid this much.
Yeah, it's for anything.
So,
For such a
it's
short
really
amount of time, probably.
Right.
Yeah.
Like we played 5 minutes for that gig.
Yeah.
Like when we got to the gig, I was like, we did rehearsals, but the actual gig was only 5 minutes.
Wow.
For, like where I was in it.
Yeah.
So somehow you get swept away in this musical Cinderella story.
It's not because it's still going on.
It's still, yeah, we're still act one, scene 5, whatever. So then, where did it go from there after that?
And then I just got hired by just.
So you were right. You were right. You had written songs at this point.
Yes.
You'd been mainly singing in karaoke.
Yeah.
Before, and then you got this
I
gig.
just like go with friends to karaoke. Do you know what I mean? Like it wasn't even a
Yes.
thing. But I would get hired. I would just like start getting called randomly by people. Hey, can you play at this? Can you play at this?
What?
Can you play at this? Like, and like really big gigs, not small gigs. Can you come and sing at this place? And so there was this gentleman who wanted a choir, and he called a couple of people in the whole tri-state area, and I showed up, and he needed a choir leader when I got there, and didn't even know me. And I sang, and he was like, oh my gosh, we have to do this. This is perfect. And then from there on, the choir couldn't work out. So I was also playing my own music, but like at home. And he was just like, can you possibly try and do something by yourself? And I was like, I'll try. So I sang a cappella for the first time for them. I wouldn't sing with a guitar. Because I was just like, I wasn't sure of myself.
Yes.
And I started touring with them. It was a ballet group. And they would tour in the US. And so it was ballet, South African, doing like some other like Zulu dance thing. It was like a mix of all of these things. So it's, and I would just sing in the middle of it, and he didn't care. He was just like, Chooser, go in. And I was just like,
no!
It's just
like a Pokemon or something.
Yes. He was just, and so I knew that I was there to distract the crowd while they were changing.
Ah,
And I would
yeah.
just be there, and I would go in, and he's like, just sound like you're this on a mountain of blah blah. And
Okay!
yes, you know, like creative people are there.
Yeah, of
You
course.
just have to be okay with it.
Yeah.
So I started touring like with them and playing like that, which was cool. And then one day I'm playing, like randomly meet a person on a train who's like this Buddhist lady who thinks I'm British. She's British. And so we were just like chatting, and she was like, oh, you should come to this place, blah, 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 blah. And I'm playing with this group. It's this group of like really wealthy people who like play imbira, which is the finger piano from Southern Africa.
Oh, I think I've seen this. Yes. Yeah.
Right. And they have a guru who comes in every month who teaches them his ways. and she was like, so the group is doing a show. Can you come and play a song? And I was like, you just met me on the train.
You just met me on the train. That's so you're aware.
She was just like, I just like your vibe. You're a really cool person.
Why isn't anyone liking my vibe? Like, anyway.
Really great vibe.
No joking. No. I want these magical. I need to go on more trains. Yeah.
No, you just
talk to strangers.
No, yeah. Nobody has to keep going.
Talk to strangers. I do talk to strangers.
Okay, yeah.
And I went to play at that show, and there was this other guy who was playing the show after us, and he saw me, and he just invited me like that Friday, and he was like, oh, I have this thing, the band that was supposed to play with me is not playing. I was wondering if you'd come in and do like a couple of songs before we video. They're doing it's like a video small session. I couldn't understand what it was.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I do anything. I'll do it for free. It doesn't matter. And so I showed up on that Saturday, and Kevin was working. Kevin was the CEO of this like music improvising company thing. And he
whatever that means.
It's an improvising the thing. It's called Mima.
Okay.
And yes, Kevin, I suppose this guy is a part of his organization.
Yes.
But he had his own band, and they were videoing this kind of musical session. And I went up and I played. And I don't think you were there, Kevin.
I was there right at the end. So what I remember. So I was running this music improvisation education organization. So we would take groups of people, usually like teenagers and stuff, and get them to write songs together and use improvisation as a way of just like,
expression,
and like especially
really
for
cool.
people who don't consider themselves artists or musicians.
Oh yes.
So we would do it all over New York, and we did a lot of international stuff. And at that time we had this really beautiful space in Brooklyn that was used as like partly an art gallery. It was near an art university, and then there were all these art studios. So it was like this big open space, and so we hosted like random events all the time. And I remember that day in particular because this thing was like sprung last minute. It was like, oh, these people are coming in. And I was like, oh God, I have to like go in to do this. Like, who are these hippies that are coming in to do like some project? You know, I was like, it was not well planned out. I was like, why do I have to be here? So I'm there. I'm like not paying attention to what's going on. I'm like, whatever, use the space. I was like, so then I was like leaving because I think Christoph had come by then and was like taking over stuff. And like as I was leaving, you were starting your first song, and I think kind of like the experience you had, it was like. Yeah, you know, like, screeching record. I was like, what am I hearing? So then I stayed and like listened. I was like, who is like what just happened?
What is this? Like,
I don't know.
But yeah, that was how we met.
Wow, that's so brilliant. That visceral reaction. I know it's hard for you, like as the entity that is producing these great sounds, to like hear people. I suppose it's hard to take compliments, maybe perhaps, but. There is definitely something special about your voice, and like that obviously is you resonate with on that day, and that but it's hard to convey. Like you'll never understand what it's like for people to experience you in a weird way, and I'll never know what it's like for people to experience me in a weird way. So, it like with compliments and praise, or whatever, or anything, criticism, or anything where we're projecting onto someone else, it's like they'll never really understand in a kind of strange way. So it's kind of this, you're never able to really touch at it. But let's get back then. So then after this this improv show that you were putting together, let me just summarize it as that. Yeah, sure. The little improv thingamajig. Then how did you get up? How did you meet back after that?
One of the guys who Kevin used to work with called me or sent me an email or something, and they were like, we'd like to propose something to you. And I was like, I'm really in a tough spot right now. I don't know if like strange thing, you know. I can't even get to
like one train journey away from it.
I can't even get to Brooklyn right now. I live in New Jersey, like, and he messaged me and he was like, let's meet in Manhattan. I just want to tell you what this is all about. And kind of the idea we have. And I met with him and he said, oh, we'd like to like try something out with you. But more than that, I think we could do a show around you. We have a festival planned or something of that sort.
Tuelo Fest.
Not
no, I'm joking.
I'm still on that journey.
Yeah.
And I was like, cool. You know, we'll see. We'll see. And then he was like, oh, do you want to meet and play like some music with the rest of the guys? Maybe we could build a band around us. And then we just met like one of those days. And it was him, it was Kevin, it was Dominique. I'd always played with this when I used to go to poetry slams. I met this gentleman who plays djembe, which is like just like an African drum. And he would take it anywhere in New York and just like play everywhere. But he's a really, really brilliant like djembe player. Yeah. And he came through and it was just like a vibe. Yeah. I think it turned out pretty well. It was fun to have hear everything come together, you know, musical thoughts, and everyone then interpret it
in their particular way.
Yeah, in their particular way. So
there's like, in terms of like Tuelos, like the front woman, let's say, and then there's all these other people around it. Is that how this works?
No.
Well, that's how it was.
That's how it was.
Okay, yeah.
It's essentially just Kevin and I. I call Kevin my twin.
Yes.
Because if I can't think, Kevin knows exactly what I'm thinking. Yes. Kind of thing. But it's right now it's just like me as an artist. But back then it was these particular people. It was a lot of us, I think, about
too many.
7 men.
Yeah. We did. It was
very,
like 7 or 8.
very cool people.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Some that like Dominique and Mark I came with too. And they were playing drums and. There was a drummer. There was like a bassist. There was, it was
had it all.
It was like a whole little.
It was a whole thing.
And
I think that's where building my music in particular started.
Okay.
And it was like really everyone in the same. Everyone felt the same about it. Like very, very.
Positive
and
passionate.
This
is great stuff.
Yeah.
This is brilliant stuff. Like we're all behind it. Yay!
Yeah.
That kind of vibe.
Yeah. So that's where I kind of.
So interesting. So then you did the festival. I imagine that you performed at.
Right. It was a festival, and then so many other places.
Yeah, we did a lot of.
That's just been a great.
We did an album.
Yeah, we did an album with the cousins. So I normally, when I meet people and they're really good people, and because I don't live in South Africa.
Yes.
Like I always try and find family where I am, and so like the band was called Tuelo and her cousins, which was like basically everyone on stage is my cousin.
My cousin. Cousin's an interesting one.
Yeah.
There's this really interesting book. I forget who did it, but so. This was this idea because everyone's related. You could be related to somebody as a 116 cousin or something, right? Sure. So he was doing this thing where he was seeing how he got the biggest collection of cousins in
AJ Jacobs.
AJ Jacobs.
So we played the festival that he put on when he put that book out because it was called. He was bringing all his cousins together.
He's one of our strongest.
So we played that show with him.
No way! The year of living biblically and stuff. He's brilliant.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
Oh, you know AJ Jacobs.
He put on the whole festival.
Like 6 degrees of separation for me.
He put it on in.
Shout out to AJ.
Shout out to AJ.
Sorry, I got too excited. Please.
Yeah, no, he did the festival in Queens, which is the most diverse neighborhood in the world.
Yes.
Because everybody. So he put on this big festival.
That was the festival that I'm alluding to, whatever.
Yeah. He's very supportive. And everything. It was really cool. It was us. What other Sister Sledge was playing?
Sister Sledge played.
It was like all of we are fans.
Oh, and you know who else is there? You know who?
No! I want to live on this life.
The terrible guy who kept popping up everywhere. Dr. Oz was there.
What? Stop.
So many weird Dr. Oz stores.
It's
terrible.
This is insane.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah,
so this is the part that something doesn't surprise me about, let's say, people listening and then saying, oh, you should do this, you should do that. Because now this might be just because so in Ireland, let's say there's 4 million people in the whole country. In New York, there's 8 million, 12 million people just in the city.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So it's like a concentrated amount of people, and then that means concentrated amount of opportunity as well. Like the open mic
competition.
Yeah. But yes, tough competition as well. I don't know if you've seen this really good film, Whiplash, but it's about this it gets into competition a bit. So imagine there's I'm sure in New York, imagine Broadway shows or orchestras like the New York State Orchestra. Imagine that's what they're called. But to get into that, you'd have to be a serial killer. You know what I mean? And the drums, you have to be
murderer.
Yeah. The only way you're getting in is if you kill people to get into that drum set. But then the competition kind of pushed you in a way. But the scene, let's say, for example, over here, because I'm talking to Rob, my producer, used to talk to him. He talks about Ireland's only so big. You need to start thinking about the UK, because there's some more gigging opportunities. Let's say, because he can get things more going over there. Whereas over here, it's just a smaller sample size.
It's smaller.
Yeah, so it's you're kind of so with New York then. It's it just feels like the city. You're just living there New York, concrete jungle.
It's a grind.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, the thing that was kind of crazy then, and also leads to kind of why we came to Ireland in the first place, is in New York, we were able to like connect with some people, so we got these really amazing opportunities, like played really amazing places. But then it was like, aside from that, where else was money coming from? What else were, it was like, it's very hard to build like kind of a holistic career there outside of these things that kind of were like one-off opportunities. And it was like, okay,
but there are many of those. That's the thing about New York that sustain a lot of people.
Yes.
Those one-off opportunities are many and keep coming.
Yes.
Like that's the only thing about it. But it's also to just like get out of New York a little bit and let the world in. Because New York tends to feel like you are living in the world. There's everyone there.
Yeah, this is the epicenter of what's happening in a way.
But it's a bubble.
Yeah,
everywhere's a bubble.
Oh, true.
Yeah. We think our bubbles are grander or not as grand as what they might be. But everyone's just living a subjective little experience or whatever. But just on that point then, what actually brought you to Ireland? Like I know you alluded to there, just getting out of the like New York bubble, and in a way, why Ireland then?
I don't know.
Just so cool.
It's cool.
It's just so cool.
Just for this podcast.
It's straight. I wanted to. So I decided I'm leaving New York once. Guess it didn't happen. But when I did decide I'm leaving it, I was like,
this was in like 2017.
17 around that. Yeah. Where am I going? And I was like, I'm going to pass by Ireland to just see if I like it.
Okay.
this was like my thought. And I flew here and I got here and I was just like, oh, cool. I really like it. It was like a people thing for me. So New York is... I write my best stuff, I think, in New York because there's so much... Like, I get overstimulated.
Yes.
So there's just so much stimulation. But, like, when I got here, I was like, oh, my gosh, people are so nice.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like, people are so kind. They're so, like, thoughtful of things. They're so, like, measured. They're, like, in a way, in, like, all of these, like, very special ways. And more than musically, I was just like, oh, I just want to be in Ireland. Do you know what I mean? Like,
come in with you.
Yeah. From the moment go, from, like, the cab driver to everyone.
I know, it's brilliant.
Yeah. It's so beautiful. And this was, I was saying, like, when you know Irish people in New York, it's very different Irish people than in Ireland. Or rather, Irish American. Yeah. Because they're no longer Irish. Do you know what I mean? And so, like, I think of myself, too, as a South African, how much I'm not South African. Or, do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Or that has gone away from me from being a migrant.
You're not on, like, let's say, the ground zero or whatever of where that place was. But,
absolutely.
But you become then a different sort of amalgamation of different things then. Yeah, you've morphed. Yeah. It's like, and you're always kind of morphing in a way. But it is interesting because, like, now this is, I don't really understand, like, American, like, heritage or history that deeply, but it is interesting because it's like a new enough country, you know what I mean? So
yes, true.
when I hear people, like, there's a common kind of, like, joke, like, oh, Americans are always claiming Irish heritage, like, oh, my dog's Irish or my cousin's Irish and this and that. But it's easy because I'm like, oh yeah, I'm Irish, I know me roots and I know me potatoes and so I know, so I'm rooted in a way in my heritage, whereas some people, if you don't have, like, in America, if you're like American, maybe you're like, you want roots in a way. You know what I mean?
You're just holding on to
something. Yeah, it's like it's like that feel, and then, like, I don't know what the view of art, like, in America maybe is just that. What is it about Irish people that seems to, like, be such a part of sort of positive energy for Americans, like when they're like, oh, you're Irish, or like...
Honestly, I think part of it is just the accent is really intriguing.
It's so
like, I think that's part of it.
It is, like, comforting.
Interesting.
It's like, we don't get
the
British accent is, like, pretty pretentious and annoying.
Oh yeah, you can hear
the Irish accent. You're like, oh my god, that's so.
Irish accent.
The Irish, you're just like, can you keep talking? Because I just want to listen to you talk.
It's very comforting.
That's what
I think also that accent has, you can feel it or hear it a lot in the American accent.
Interesting.
I think. So yeah.
Especially East Coast.
Yeah, especially East Coast. You can really hear it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm not really, I'm not super familiar, but I always just thought, oh, there must be, I'm trying to figure it out, figure out the world, and then I want to go over and be like, I'm the Irish lad, come on, give me some money.
Love you.
Oh my
people will be obsessed.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
Just singing Irish songs, like,
Yeah.
I'll definitely have to go over a Paddy's Day just to experience it. But then,
you can make some good money.
Yeah, just bullshit.
No, seriously.
Just have my passport.
Yeah.
But just on then coming to Ireland then, and so did you came on your own then?
I came on my own.
Okay.
And I actually met a musician who I was staying at an Airbnb, and the owner of it was a musician. And I was like,
what is she doing?
Oh my god!
Give me like some of your hair or what? Like what magic thing does she have? Like,
and this is why I'm like, music found me.
Yes.
I was not like, I know for sure. And so sometimes when I'm really worried about it, I'm just like, I can't take credit. I cannot, because music like follows me, finds me, gives me things.
Leave it alone, music. I'm trying to sleep. Like,
things that I didn't want. Like,
yeah. Oh, here we go. More success. Like,
still, and so I met him, and a few months later we decided to come back to Ireland and just played at
the Sugar Club.
Well.
Yeah, we played at the Sugar Club, open for, I forget the gentleman, he's a blues musician.
Lee Field.
How did you get to Sugar Club?
Just that guy.
Just because of that guy. That's insane.
Yeah.
It's just networking, like, but you're just somehow you're just living a life of just like whatever path of the universe you're on, the probabilities are in your favor.
Basil? I worry a lot too, and I sometimes am always just like, why am I worried? I wasn't even trying to do this. Do you know what I mean? I was like trying to work in Wall Street.
She worked in finance.
I want to get stocks. I'm a stockbroker at heart.
I was like epitome of like being an African kid going to America.
Yeah.
You know, like you either be a doctor, a lawyer,
or stocks. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And
this music nonsense.
This music nonsense. I still have to explain it to people.
Yeah.
And so, I just no.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Well, you played a show. That's a pretty good place to play, and so interesting. And then after that, did you come over then for that?
So yeah, I was here for that. And then
we just like Kevin. You know,
yeah,
the guy I live with, whatever, just happens to run his club.
It's cool. Yeah, he doesn't even live here anymore, which is crazy.
Yeah,
thing.
he's in Brazil, right?
He's in Brazil. He used to play for a band. Yeah, and then we played at another place. I don't remember it.
Yeah.
Oh,
we played at Lost Lane.
Oh, we played at Lost Lane, and we played the Sugar Club that week.
Yeah.
So just very random, but cool.
Yes.
Yeah. It was really
Yeah.
cool.
So was that your first stint then, the 2 years in Ireland?
Here,
Yeah.
And then the following year, we were in Berlin for a while. We were trying to figure out like what to do in Europe.
Yeah.
So we lived in Berlin for a while, which was good. I mean, songwriting wise, that was when we you really wrote like
the record that's coming out in September.
Like David Bowie.
Yeah.
I think he was over there for a while.
Oh,
He did like one of his great albums, I think Heroes and stuff he wrote when he was over anyway, I don't want to derail us with there's a really good documentary called Moon Age Daydream. And I paid a $5 for it on YouTube.
Okay.
It was one of the greatest music documentaries I've ever seen. It's like it's not like a typical documentary where they're sitting with like talking heads and just like, oh yeah, David Bowie's this. It's like a real immersive. It's real profound. Like there's lots of his philosophy. It opens with this big monologue about time. And anyway, I don't want to get too into it, but it gets into all, like it goes into, it follows his whole life, and he was such I actually had. Anytime I watch something like that, I get real engrossed, and I'm like, I need to listen to all his music because you forget these people were icons and they lived for years and they did all these crazy things, and we just take for granted. We were born after, let's say, but there's all these great people. Like even Johnny Cash, after watching Walk the Line, I was like, oh my god, I need to get into Johnny.
I love Johnny Cash.
Yes, all these. But anyway, just so in Berlin, it's just interesting because. I think he wrote some of his great stuff there. So you're basically like as good as David Bowie now. I said it, not you. So you can get away with it. Yeah. No, but then, for what do you think about that place? Was it just that you had time to be productive writing?
I think part of it was time. We're living in a place that had a piano, so we could just work.
Piano's always nice to work, through songs on.
Yes, figure out melodies and chords.
And just be able to put it together, and we just had time to. And
we were doing a radio tour all these stuff in Holland and Belgium. Yeah. At that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And actually, so
we put out St. Margaret by then.
Yeah.
So we were doing a radio tour of that.
So two of the songs so we have an EP that's going to come out in the fall that we're finalizing right now. So at the time, what Tuelo kind of came up with is the idea of find core songs that are have multiple stories that live within them, and then write shadow songs that basically explore different parts of those stories. Oh. So I remember very distinctly we were in Belgium. We were staying in this cool farmhouse in the middle of nowhere. Mm-hmm. And you walked out into the meadow and you came back and you were like,
she had an Oscar.
I wrote 3 songs. She was like, I just wrote 3 of the songs. I wrote 3 shadows.
Come to me.
And so
there's a bit of paper in the face with lyrics.
I literally can't take.
Literally in an hour, wrote these songs, and so 3 of those songs are on the EP that are coming out. And you just came back and you were like, sit down. I have to say this to you.
No, quick.
It's crazy.
Capture the magic.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Wow.
It's one of my favorite things to do. Writing in general, but writing song is so it's one of my, and I always tell Kevin, I just want space where we're not doing too much, so I can sit, because if I'm sitting in silence, I'm writing, and it's just song after song, so it's just one of my favorite things to do.
Who's a writer, Neil Gaiman, I think his name is, but he sets up these parameters where he goes out to his garden shed or whatever, and he allows himself. He doesn't have any electronics. He can. The only thing he's allowed to do is write, but he can do nothing as well. So he can sit there and do nothing. So then he'll sit there for nothing, and eventually the writing just becomes more interesting than doing nothing in a way. Because I think. It's just about you need to create the space, I think, in a way, because sometimes you get carried away, especially when I was recording that album and stuff, and I was doing all this where I was waking up and editing vocals, and you're just in this space of I can't write right now, whatever, but I could if I wanted to, really, but it's just easier to, get swept away and all the other stuff, but I think it's important, because I think writing is something... it's so time sensitive. If you wrote something now versus you went to write it tomorrow, it'll be different in a way. And it's the potential work is passing us by constantly in a way. So if we don't grab it, it's it's gone now.
But what I do is, and back then, Kevin, you remember that when I was writing, I'd have pieces of paper when I didn't have a good phone to write memos. I'd have pieces of paper, and my bag would be packed with shriveled shriveled.
It's just wait, I have to find this.
I can't get rid of them because I'm
they could be important.
This is all.
Yes,
it's me writing, but I do write just words to remind me why I need it. Sometimes I'll write the word and then I'll say it's because of this place that I went to. So that I can come back to that thought. Because I realize that I can't, if I'm in writing mode or I want to write something, I can't write it all right now.
Yes.
I need to be in complete, I'm not doing anything this week. then I can go and explore all the thoughts that I had before. So I just write so many things in my memos. It's random.
Yes.
It's
her voice.
If something just hits you, it's when the emotion captures something, like something for some reason you're feeling energized towards a particular thing. And Rick Rubin's new book, The Creative Act, is so good because he gives you great language for thinking about all this stuff. So what I could just say about that, it's like so all the little bits, all these little words and stuff, they're just like little seeds. They're like little seeds, and you collect loads of little seeds, and then you see, which seeds are gonna what seeds are worth flowering, let's say. Which ones, that one looks great, let's try plant that one. And then the more seeds you have, basically the better your work is going to be, because if you're selecting from just one seed, you're going to think, that seed's great, but what if you had 10 other seeds to compare it against, and then you find out which one is pulling you gives you the most. It's the only way I can describe it that makes sense. It's like, because we can't really tell why certain things will pull us in or give us, like, I feel better about this than I feel about that, right? It's just a subjective kind of thing. But the way I can describe it is like there's like an energy pulling me towards a particular thing. And the more, I think it's like the 80-20 principle, basically, like, because the top 2 of them 10 songs will be better than the other ones, imagine, let's say. So I think the more you write, the more chance you have of creating something that you feel really, really good about. Not just like you feel good about it, but you're like, ooh, I did it! Like a great song, whatever. So with your process then, you're collecting seeds and...
Oh my gosh, it's crazy sometimes. Yeah. I'm so afraid to talk about my process because I'm like, people are going to judge me. Do you know what I mean?
Well, people are going to judge you.
People are going to look at me and
they're judging you right now!
Yeah. Crazy.
Yes!
Because, like, I have songs where I know, like, I had to write it off of 10 stories, off of like 10 different points in my life, but in this one song. So it may mean something, but how I got to it was like the process, or rather going through all of these different feelings.
Yes.
So I'm always trying to figure out how to pinpoint a feeling and feel it right then, and then say, this is why this happened. So I'm big on self-inquiry. And that's why I also journal a lot.
Yes, they mirror each other.
Why did I do this? Why did I then address this person? This is me all the time.
Yes.
It's self-inquiry is huge.
I
think the writing process also helps me just like...
Get deeper into it as well. Like thinking about things is one... part of like self-inquiry, but writing things down, and because you iterate on writing, let's say, or whatever, when before you write the sentence, you're thinking, what is the best way to write this sentence? We're thinking, you're not really filtering it. You're just like blah blah blah. Every sentence is as good as the next. But when you go to write it, you're doing that selection in a way. So then you're honing down on what, like, and even with iterating, let's say when you're talking about going to the piano and you have the piano there, you can iterate kind of on melodies or chords in a way. Like you might, if you come up with a melody now, you might think, oh, this is great, but that was just a first draft in a way, like improvised melody, and then but you can go back and tweak it, and then that's the writing is basically like you have these thoughts and then you're kind of carving them out. Is one way I like to think about it. But so then with the journaling and the songwriting, they kind of, there's a mirror in them, because there's like a self-inquiry element or a self-analysing element as well.
I think I songwrite differently from how I journal. Like journal is definitely that. Just like vomit all over the book, and then like whereas when I'm writing, because now I have all of these like memos, I now just go back to memos and I go, why was I thinking that? Which is also a really great way of just like healing and going through, different ways of like therapy for me.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, why did I see this? Why did I write that? And just like get in the moment. It's just, I write very differently. So for a song, normally it's written in... I don't know if I've ever had a song where I wrote it over 3 days or like 2 days, or like I was piecing it together in terms of artistically. I never think of how artistically could it be? How brilliant? Do you know what I mean? Like I just write it the way it wants to be written. Like, I see a song like its own entity, its own person.
Yes.
How do I just like then let it live? You know, kind of a thing. And so
interesting.
It becomes its own thing.
You're trying to facilitate what the song needs to be or something.
Yes.
In a way.
In a way.
I get sometimes I'm probably a bit more systematic, just because I'm a software engineer. I see things in like structures. I'd say so. I'm like choruses and then verses and pre-chorus. So I usually like sketch out. I find if I have all the melodies sketched out, because with voice, this is what I thought. This is what I've been thinking recently. So, like when the Beatles were making music, they couldn't really record and just like the way we have record and we're able to iterate on melodies and structure stuff.
We must be so lucky.
We are so lucky. We're the first generations. This is why music is going to benefit so much from technology, because we can. Let's say I record a memo. I can be like, oh yeah, if I change the end of that melody. But like, let's say Paul McCartney, he just had to remember the song. He just had to remember the whole thing.
Kevin remembers the song for me.
Kevin, what is that like? But the fact that we have voice memos, right? So it makes it, you can get a bit more meticulous. So if I have a chorus, then usually I'll have that, and then I'll do all the melodies first. I use the bridge. Usually my song follows basics. It depends on what the song wants. Sometimes like, oh, this song doesn't have a pre-chorus. Interesting, because I find it doesn't want one.
It doesn't talking to you.
Yeah, it doesn't want or the bridge. Listen, the bridge is actually just a big outro from the last chorus or something. But that's what. But it's so interesting but there are these, for me, like I like choruses that I can sing along with, so I gravitate towards that. Let's say so that's like this. That's the initial seed, but the verses. And let's say anything that comes out of the chorus, it's easy. Once I have the chorus, there's only a verse that will go with that chorus for me in a way. Yeah. So I'll structure out all the melodies, and then it's like a crossword puzzle. And for me, like because I know
mathematically,
because it's just like I know because let's say I go blah 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 blah. I wanna be. Right, so I know there's a B sound and a me sound. So maybe I'll be like, okay, then it has to be I was a tree, and what about tea? Maybe that's it.
That's why I love you, Basil. It's like improv.
Yeah, but it's improv because
it's beautiful.
Because if it's improvised, this the other part, it's more. I don't have to get too involved in like, and then when the sentence comes out that somehow after I look back, I'm like, oh, I get this now, and this was about this more, but there's really more of an improv, but it has to make sense. I won't write randoms. It has to, like, our taste is always selecting. Our taste is what makes us us in a way. Yeah. So if we have faith in our taste, and we're not having faith in it, it's like just be true to it. Like, I don't like that. I like this. And this, if you just have to know, let's say if you have a particular sentence and a part of me sometimes when I finish a song, let's say, I'll be like, oh, there's that bit I don't like. And I'm just like, I'll just leave it. But I'm like, you can't leave it. Because I don't want to go back to it because it's like, I have to fix it now. Because it puts me off it because I'm like, I thought I was finished with it. But I know I don't like it. Yeah. So I need to change it. Yeah. So you have to, if you listen to that and you're true to that, then whatever comes out of that will be always something that you like. It's hard to explain, but I think it's that easy in a way. If you listen to your taste, like
that's amazing.
So I think, but for me, so I think structures. I think like systematizing the whole thing, like, and if I have choruses that I like, so for me, my process would be if I get loads of little choruses and then out of them choruses, I like one more than the rest. So, because you can only have so much time to put in as well. Yeah. And then I use Evernote and stuff as well. So I iterate on melodies. Like if I'll be like, oh, record this bit, listen back to it, then I'll. So it's real.
That's amazing.
With Evernote and stuff, it's really good for building like all. And I'll delete something and I'll be able to just iterate on the melody first. So the melodies always kind of came first for me. Sometimes the words will come. It's
everything together sometimes.
Yeah. So exactly. Yeah, it can be different. There's no there's no prescription, let's say. But I think if you were on a desert island, or no, you had a gun to your head and someone told you need to write a song. I think I'd love to do this more. If I just could do it in this ultimate systematic way, I think I have a process where anybody could write music, or I could show people that it like people think it's this kind of like when you did you watch the Beatles documentary?
No.
So good, right? It's like 8 hours of the Beatles, right? But they come up with get back to where, and you see Paul McCartney coming up with this riff in real time, but it makes you realise, because people might think, how did he come up with songs? It's so strange. Like, hell, I could never do it. But then you see this, it's just randomly making noises, and then eventually something comes of it. Like there's steps, there's creative process, and like unfortunately with AI, it's going to kind of it's going to show that like we think text or certain things are sacred, but certain things are systematizable in a way, and it's kind of
it's interesting. So because I grew up in African tradition, when I was teaching people how to play certain songs, they would go, "What the heck are you talking about?" Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because what I'm hearing in my head is not the usual, maybe. And I've also had to kind of curb myself a lot from going into all of those other interesting, not so natural to the world as it is, ways of writing music. Like I still even over the summer last year, I think there was a song that I just wrote verses and no chorus. Like the whole song. Do you know what I mean? Like it was just the whole song was just verses until the end.
Brilliant.
Like, there's no chorus, but I find also like certain like chord structures where it's just like, why? How did you like? Do you know what I mean?
Or rhythm. I mean, rhythm is probably the biggest one.
Rhythm more than anything. So I come from a polyrhythmic culture, and I think like Irish people tend to be polyrhythmic too.
So polyrhythms, like there'd be 2 different rhythms.
More than that.
Rhythms.
Yes, multiple rhythms within.
So there's
within
like this bass rhythm that she hears in her head that, as like a Western musician who's trained, you're like, I don't hear that. Like
it's constant.
This, the song is in 6/8, but you're trying to count it in 4/4.
And I'm counting in, yeah.
So when we went, we're trying to find drummers.
It's like a natural thing.
Trying to count everything.
Oh
like,
yes.
That's the thing, is like you want to be able to like
because they're not lining up on the board or whatever.
It's a feeling. And actually, I think one of the experiences that I had where this like became most like, it kind of like clicked was we went to a festival in Eswatini.
It used to be Swaziland.
Oh.
Not Switzerland.
So it was like literally.
Oh wow!
It was the Amarula Festival, which is a fruit that grows there, and so like 10,000 women are at this festival, and they all come from around the country. Each of them has like worked to create this specific song that is like their community song that they do all the time. So there is no person orchestrating this. There's nobody on a microphone saying, you go now. It's just, everybody just knows like, it's time to come and do this.
You know your
They're
rhythm.
all doing a different song.
Have to know your
They're
rhythm.
all doing a different song, but when you hear the whole thing together, it is so mind-blowing. But it's like nobody is trying to orchestrate it. There's not like, there's no right, there's no wrong, but somehow it's all working, even though it's all different.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, this is like how it can work.
It can work, yes.
It's
and
literally,
it totally
right.
works.
It's all of those things. That's why I'm always just like, there is a form and like a formation to chaos. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's no such thing as just like, things are chaotic.
Yes.
There's like a math to it.
Yes.
That, and if you could hear it, there's a song to it that makes it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like a very strange thing. But also, the other day I wrote in my journal about community and about like being selfless. And I was like, man, it's like such a weird thing because this whole idea of everyone coming with a different rhythm and then making it song without having anyone to conduct them is everyone not being so individualistic, like or whatever. I don't know if I said the word right, but you know how everyone's like being taught, yourself, like just do things for yourself. And I was like, culturally, we didn't have that.
Yes.
It's only now that it's just like, do you have do you know what I mean? Or not, like people have forgotten to, can I just be a little bit selfless? And does selfless mean I'm like making myself disappear? Or am I enhancing myself? Where culturally, you're enhancing yourself. Like,
yes,
other things matter than just you. And so I was like writing
contribute
about
to the whole in a way.
Contribute to a whole for everyone to be able to like rise up.
Yes,
and enjoy the moment. And I was like thinking about it musically because of this whole concept of like everyone being a part of something and actually creating something even more special than it was before. And it's just like, oh, I hope I haven't become that way, It's like me all the time. And like, how am I going to be, I'm so special. Like,
And
yes,
but then on the flip side, it's like, oh, you need to brand yourself. You need to like put yourself out there.
And I think it's the whole thing of branding that got me to that. Just like, what I don't want to hate it.
No, but what you discussed there, it's like there's positives and negatives. One part is like contributing to the whole, the communal sense of being part of something. You can make something better than what it was, but the negative part is you don't want to lose yourself completely, right? But then if you want to just be a special person, then it's like you don't want to get too big for your boots. You want to be a narcissist and just be like, oh, I need my this is water, it isn't room temperature or whatever. You don't know, I'm special. You don't know how special I am. But you need a bit of like, I'm going to believe myself. Yeah. And I'm proud of what I'm doing as well. So it's not like, you need a bit of everything in a way. But it's good to see that sense of like, that communal sense of we're all just contributing to this thing and knowing like maybe you just get up and start singing over it like
and I think about it only because I'm like I want to enjoy the moment, and it's the whole branding thing because branding is all about like you and
but not even you're just the brand of you.
That's true. How you should present yourself and how you're going to be. So I'm trying to remind myself that I'm doing it for the greater good.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
No, your brand will just be whatever the brand is. Like, as in, alright, so where brand can get negative, it's like, are you trying to orchestrate something that's not there, let's say. But if it's something that's there, like your brand, how you come across, just turning up bits of you that you like, your brand comes out of that in a natural way, in some way. And then if you realise, because what you want to do, you want to maybe connect with people. So like a podcast, or like we were saying before, is a way to kind of connect with people, to have conversations with people that we're not in the same room with, whatever. Yeah. So like brand marketing, all these stuff, they get kind of a negative kind of outlook, let's say, because it seems like it's putting businessy stuff on top of it. But these are just not like marketing has existed since. Like humans, your reputation is marketing.
We've been trading.
Yes.
Since we were humans.
Your brand is just is this person a prick or are they not? Like you know what I mean? Like that's your brand. So it's like when you think about it like that, you're always like these are just terms. These are business terms for just existing things that are already kind of there. So tapping into them and realizing like. But it's also realised that so I did stand-up comedy once, right? And I just did it it was like,
oh my God,
I just did it, I
might as well gone skating.
Yeah, I know, exactly. I went skating.
You went skating?
Yeah, I went skating. But, because I got really into it ages ago, and then, but it was always this thing, I want to do it, and then I knew this guy who was doing, anyway, so I was only on the open mic scene in the last few months, but I thought, I'm just going to do it once, I have all this thing, but I had all this material, and showed my sister, and I had like 5 minutes, I say, and she was like, you can't say that, because it was felt, so more, the long story thing, I got a video of it, and I felt some of it was funny, but some of it I felt was, it was trying to be too provocative, let's say, with, let's say, sexual stuff, right, and I think it's, because if I say an outlandish statement right now, people might laugh at that just because it's outlandish, or it's a bit risque, but it's not funny, because it's funny. When I was watching back, I was like, shock value, just relying on. Now, I'm not saying there's not merit or that can't be funny or clever, but when I was looking back, I was like, that's not what I wanted to be. I don't want to be that guy if I was going to do comedy. I want to be kind of coming up with kind of clever wordplay or juxtapositions of stuff that anybody can listen to. You know what I mean? Doesn't have to be like. We have Frankie Boyle over here. I don't know if you've seen him, but he's like on the extreme end of just offensive stuff, whatever. Yeah. Which I like. I'm not saying I don't like dark humor, whatever. But for me and the entity and the person, my brand, let's say, I'd hate there for me and Video doing some of the comedy that I did do, and it made me realize. So then I have written stuff again, and I came at it with a new lens. It's like, don't rely, because I think there's like I started listening to this book then on comedy, just like not like I'm gonna be I just think I love comedy. I think it's very interesting.
Yeah, it is. I love
one of the 10. She has this great book. It's called the Comedy Bible. I forget who it was. Oh, but so good. But she breaks down these 10 rules, and one of them is don't rely on like sexual stuff, because everyone thinks that that's funny for some reason. Your sexual experiences are funny, or pushing the boundaries of that. They think that's like, people gravitate to that, and I think. Even I've seen some open mics specifically say if it's your first time, like no one needs to hear about your first time doing X and Y. But for some reason we gravitate to that because we think it's funny because it's risque.
Yeah. I think people are just laughing out of discomfort.
Yeah. Oh, we said that. But you can be fun. You can be. I think it was a big eye opener for me. But realizing that wasn't the kind of person that I wanted to put out into the world isn't a bad thing, really. You know what I mean? I don't want to turn, because there's parts of me I could turn up that would make you be like, oh, jeez, this guy is not nice or whatever. Because we're like, there's parts of us, all of us as humans. Yeah. Like if my thoughts were projected 24/7, you're gonna get some terrible thoughts. Because I don't want that. You know what I mean? Like, no, wait, no.
Absolutely.
Don't look at my thoughts. Don't look at my thoughts. But that's like, because if there was no filter, then the world would be just like, you'd see everyone, you'd be like, geez, everyone's absolutely off the wall. It's like, geez, you're thinking that, whatever. But that's okay.
I wrote on the record, the last record, there's a song called Canary, and every time I tell people about it, I'm like, this song is very good because it kept my very bad thoughts in the most like calm way. Like I ended up like bringing them all together into this song.
Oh, brilliant!
Do you know what I mean? It's like that very thing where I was just like, oh my gosh, like I could kill this. I could murder a person.
Yes,
you know what I mean? Like
I'm capable of that.
I not even like.
I'm scared.
I wish I could.
I know what you mean.
I wish I would.
Do you know what I mean? Just that.
These thoughts are coming in.
These thoughts, yes. And so, I'd actually written this song to commemorate the very thought of me thinking this.
Oh, yes. You're a witness to these, because thoughts are just random fluctuations, like in your experience. I'd say so. It's not like you have like. Sometimes you can't. It's not like you want to have certain thoughts, but sometimes thoughts will come in. You're like, oh, what is that?
And sometimes they're destroying you, or they're trying to curb you. Like they're trying to help you from yourself.
Yes. In a way, yes. But just bringing it back actually, because I want to get some Kevin story in here as well. Like, want to get some Kevin. Yeah, what's the machine? Yeah. So, like, because you were saying, because obviously that you culminated that your meeting basically at that cool improv thing that you were organising in Brooklyn, I believe, if my memory serves.
Yeah.
But listen back. So what's your kind of musical story, let's say, before that point or up until that point?
Yeah, I grew up playing piano. We all in my family had to take piano
Americans
lessons.
Have this like.
Oh yeah.
Take lessons from like the old lady down the street.
Cool.
And I had 2 older brothers, and it was the one thing that I was like way better at them then. So like when I started doing it, I surpassed them within like a couple of months. After they had been doing it for like 2 years. I was like,
oh, you mean
this? So that was like my thing.
Yes.
And then in college, I was like, oh, should I do music? Should I not do music? I was like, okay, I'm gonna not do music, but I'll just like do music stuff on the side. and I was in a bluegrass band.
That's so cool.
With
really cool people too.
Yeah.
Who are still there.
Yeah, so, I learned to play guitar, I learned to do mandolin, I played bass for a while, I learned to play accordion, I was just kind of like doing all of these other...
Kevin plays everything.
Wow. We all need Kevin.
That's why I have Kevin everywhere.
Kevin!
So
everyone needs the machine.
I moved to New York after college and I was teaching. And I ended up starting a music program at this high school and, teaching music there. And then I got connected to that organization that does the improvisation. So I kind of moved in the music education world and was working in that. And around the time that we met, I was thinking about it. I was like, okay, this is cool, but I'm not actually doing the music most of the time.
Yes.
I'm facilitating a lot of these people doing it, which is great and something that I like to do, but I was like, I should get back to actually being a musician myself. And so I was playing with a couple of other musicians randomly and things, and then we met, and so it was like, oh my God.
Wow.
Could I actually play music with her?
Interesting. So you had, it's so funny going from the communal to the look at me in a way, not at the extreme ends, but it kind of mirrors that thinking in a way. It's like you've done so much for, let's say, the whole. So now it's like, but what about also my own ambitions and wants for music as well?
Yeah.
And then how does it work? So how have you found working together? What does working together even look like or mean?
It's a lot of WhatsApps back and forth.
Modern life.
Thank God Kevin understands my music speak because I'm not a trained musician.
Oh, yes.
And so
you're talking about polyrhythms, but you're just more an innate sense of it.
Yes. I'm like, what do you think, Kevin? Kevin's like, oh, you mean, ha, ha.
There's a lot of that that goes on.
That's so funny. You're like a translator.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's kind of a translator. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we do everything together, basically.
Yeah.
Yes.
From making images where it's we take pictures and then it's we try to just go back and forth. It's what do you want on this? And Tuel's put a penguin in and
your Instagram images are brilliant. Then pictures.
I mean,
I'm special. No, but they're brilliant. They look so legit. Yeah. And then because I was scrolling it today, and I've noticed this already when you were doing the Happier remix, just the blocks on your Instagram, it's real striking. It looks beautiful, but it looks. I was like, geez, these must have a legit team behind this stuff.
I know, it's just us.
Well, these are obviously legit. Team. That's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, and some of the best photos are from literally we needed to do them,
we're just taking photos.
Just standing in front of a wall in South Africa. It was just
we're taking photos all the time.
Yes,
we're not.
But they look so professional and everything. Not that but obviously you've actually got good.
It takes forever. That's the thing. Is
to edit them. And
yes.
It's all and doing
what kind of tools do you use?
And just the creative.
We usually flip between Photoshop and Canva. We use for most of the stuff. But there's some things that you need.
You need Photoshop to go that extra mile.
Photoshop is so annoying. I mean, the same with videos. It's you can do basic stuff on Canva and stuff, but then using Adobe to
take
really
the time.
do video.
Yeah, when you have to take it to that next level.
Yeah.
There's another one that's Figma is good. I use as a web developer. It's probably like Canva.
Yeah.
I do a lot. Most of my stuff is just simple graphic stuff. It's not your stuff looks all the line and everything, and it just looks so grand. Everything, all the colors.
I'm glad that's come through. We've been really working on it the last few months. So
we also think about how to create.
Yeah. But that's another facet. I think when we I heard this. You were talking about this last podcast. People think, being a musician, you're going around traveling, you're playing music, all this stuff, but. You're basically these days,
everything.
But because we have the power to do everything. Back in the day, like in the 70s, whatever.
So many people.
You wouldn't even be able to record music unless you were like picked.
Yeah.
Maybe you'd be recording music because you'd just be like, yeah, look, I didn't mean to come here today, but I took the wrong bus and now I have an album.
No, it's probably because I would not be picked.
Yeah, yes, you need the luck. But it is interesting, because we have all these things now that we can do, we've become sort of these multimodal or multi-skilled, or just there's so many facets to music as a like the business side of it or the promotion of it. But do you enjoy that side of it as well?
I mean, I love the production.
I
love it
because it's a creative endeavor, and it's like you're putting your own it's creating images and even everything. Oh, we're gonna put like these on our Instagram, and it's gonna like be like synchronized and look nice. It's like that's part of the thing you're trying to put out in a way.
But Kevin also has a special gift besides him playing every kind of instrument and being brilliant, and then having granola in the morning and
besides just being the best, he also
he also just aesthetically knows how beautiful things should be. Which is a really great thing. Even if we're taking photos and he's like, I think this lighting could be like this. And then blah, blah, blah.
Oh,
do you know what I mean? I have many thoughts.
That's a great way of putting it. I have many thoughts.
Many thoughts. That could be good.
Yes.
Then Kevin sums them up, at least.
Yeah. And where did that come from? Because obviously, if you're doing, did it come from doing shows like the stuff you did before?
I don't know. I mean, I remember I took a computer graphics class in high school with Adobe Illustrator that blew my mind. I was like, oh my god, this is so cool that you can do this. And then it was just kind of a consistent thing that was there, but I never really intentionally explored, which I think is partly why I still don't really trust myself with a lot of it, because I'm not a graphic designer.
About to say.
And I feel like I don't know what I'm doing,
teamwork.
but I do.
But you do
know.
Even with graphic designers, it's teamwork.
It's teamwork.
Yes, when you don't realize it's like music. Even if I know what I'm doing in music, I couldn't do it without Kevin. By myself alone.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you have to have people.
In the creative field, in an artistic journey, you need the other. You need, do you know what I mean? To
there's parts of you that isn't as the whole in a way. So you can with me and Rob, my new producer, he's able to interpret my songs in this way that I didn't think, with all these cool sounds, and I'm like, and then when I'm with him, I'm like, we have created something brilliant here. It's not I brought one part of it, but he's brought another. But without both of us, it wouldn't have happened in a way. And because there's lots that I can't do on my own, and then having more people just means that you can do more. But it's all about trying to if you can work together in a way that's beneficial, and if you both have your own, I don't know, parts of the endeavor that you are focusing on, then I think, because sometimes, I don't know, I've been in business, let's say, where it's just you wanted the yellow, I wanted the blue, and we don't really get anywhere, you know what I mean? We're just but I wanted the blue, it's but I think it's better yellow, and it's but someone should just have veto power, just have, be able to say, well, this is my thing, or whatever. But I suppose if you, so it's all about being able to work in partnerships. I think that's true. It has not been easier.
And also, to trust yourself. Our journey has been to trust ourselves.
It's very true.
Because we're both creatives, it was always, no, we're not creative enough.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Do you know what I mean? Where everyone else we're asking advice from, we believe it. But then when we're doing our thing, everyone's like, that's amazing. But we still don't trust ourselves.
We're just we don't have the credentials, we didn't go to this.
Totally. And then you go back to the thing that we made 3 years ago.
We're like, whoa. Yes. People are messaging us about, how did you do this? Who's the photographer who did this? We did it.
Yes.
Or even some mixing things.
Music stuff.
it's like, oh, we did know what we were doing.
We did know what we were doing. And you don't, like, when you're saying, oh, I'm not at this, I'm not at that, it's like a natural tendency. Because most of the time, none of us know what we're doing, right? Like, there's always stuff to learn. And we're all white belts in some respects, and like we're all black belts in other respects. But there's even as black belt, there's still other stuff. There's like grades of black belt, let's say, so you can get even. There's always stuff to learn. You're always a naive beginner to somebody. You know what I mean? But and then it's like it's like that imposter feeling, like, oh my god, I'm just gonna get found out. Like, what's going on? Like,
this is me sometimes in the middle of a song singing. Where I'm just like, oh, they're going to realize.
Yes!
I can't say that. They're going to just like go, what's going?
Yes.
Yeah.
But as you're doing these things, you're picking up expertise, like let's say with graphic design, anything really,
programming music,
anything. And you're just like, like I don't know what's going on, but then you really do, but you don't see it. You don't see it because you're always looking now. But if I ask, like, you'd have strong, valid opinions based on all the mistakes you've made in a particular domain or whatever, but you still feel like because you don't want to. You're just afraid. I'm not a graphic designer. I'm not this, because when you compare it to, let's say, maybe your versatility as an instrumentalist or a musician, so you're like, when I think I'm a programmer, I'm like, because I'm doing it 8 years. I know what I'm doing there. Music stuff, I'm like, because I'm comparing it against. But even then, I still don't know what I'm doing in a way.
Comparing it against
But this is the other thing, right? Now, wrap this whole segment up with this bit, hopefully, right? Because it's there's this beautiful, it's like a proverb, let's say, but there was this like older woman, and she was describing how back in her town, let's say, they used to just get together and sing. And like you're kind of saying, a communal kind of event, and they just sing, and no one really cared. It wasn't about, people sang not because they were good, not because they were bad, because they actually just enjoyed singing, like doing things. You don't have to be a graphic designer to do graphic. What does it even mean to be anything? Like, just do the thing. And then another really good quote I read recently was. If only the good birds sang, then the forest would be silent or something like that. You know what I mean?
Beautiful.
So it's so good. It's like we should just and we should just do things from that point of view, because we're enjoying them, not thinking, I'm not good enough, I'm not this, I'm not that. Like, we're all whatever we are now, and we can only enjoy the thing that we're doing as much as our current skill set allows. So just do it. But you are doing so much as well, and so when you're producing, what are you doing? Like, how so let's say the last song you did, the happy maybe last that remix. How did that come? How did that go about producing? Because did you have another version of that already out?
Yes, we have another version.
So is the remix? Is it more like the song has evolved over time and it's now different, and you just wanted to do it again, or
that song we just wanted to do a pop version of
it just felt like we want to do one now.
We just wanted to do a pop version. Also, we done the last record under COVID, and so we wanted to be able to like work with and produce with a different producer. It's just not our production team. It's sometimes like we like to produce others, but not me. Do you know what I mean? Like, we'll work on me, finish the production, and then be with other producers to work on the stuff. But I mean, we just wanted to have a different feel of it.
Interesting.
Try a different sound. So we worked
be in Ireland and produce. We did the whole EP.
Oh, brilliant.
The remix EP.
And so you just found a producer in Ireland to work with. Okay.
And I think, we were also, it was also kind of part of a bigger strategy, trying to work with how do we get radio play, how do we get streaming numbers up, how do we work algorithms, how do we, just to like feel out what works. And even more strategically, we're working towards a very specific sound for the next EP.
Okay.
And so this was like a little bit of a trial in terms of like
figuring out
process
what
of
works,
how to
what
get
doesn't,
to that sound. So the way that the remix mixes really worked was like we stripped everything back to just acoustic guitar and vocal.
Yes.
And then rebuilt from there. And so the whole next EP, the first thing that we did was guitars.
Yes.
So we worked with a guitar producer and we just did guitars. And so like all of the songs can sit as guitars and vocals.
Yes. So how many guitar parts?
It changes, but there's acoustic and electric on both. It's not like a ton. Yeah, it's like 2 rhythms and like a lead or maybe something like that. Yeah. You know, a little
pretty
more
simple.
Some stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
So like trying to keep it very simple and specific.
Yes.
I think is like the thing that we're going for, because really what it is you've experienced it, I've experienced it. When you experience Tuelo performing, there is this like immediacy that hits you.
Yes.
And you can like sense it in any room that you're in that it happens. Like everybody's just like, huh?
Yes.
Trying to figure out how to translate that to studio recording is very hard.
It's been a journey.
It's so been hard. A journey.
And we haven't fully cracked the code yet, but we're almost there. But like it can't be adding things. It has to be pulling things away.
That's so interesting.
That's why we're really approaching this EP from like
that perspective. Like how do we get to that sound?
Yes. And in thinking about who we work with, it's like being very intentional with like, okay, what do we need like somebody who is an expert at this one thing to come in and do? It's like, okay, with guitars, we have an idea of what we want. We can have all of these ideas and things, but we need somebody who can like really execute the recording of that perfectly. And luckily we had someone.
Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Right.
So that's like where we're at in that process.
So it's like you used to have the sketch of the guitars, let's say, for example. But then there's like great websites now, even like Fiverr and stuff, where you can find people to do. If you have it, you can just get people to do certain instrumental tracks, whatever. But how do you capture the voice in such a way, or how do you mix the voice in such a way that captures the essence? And obviously I don't think you'll ever fully get to like when you have a person in front of you and experiencing that, but I think it's a very interesting problem to try and move towards.
And a lot of it has been trying to think of references that are less about the music and more about like the feeling or like the punching, it's that how to create that experience in a recorded form and then be able to translate that into these songs, which are obviously different.
Like what's it, the one that comes to mind, obviously it's like the Bon Iver's one that he did in For Emma, like a long time ago, or For Emma forever ago or something, where he went to the cabin and recorded that. But his vocal on that as well, it's very like, come on skinny love, like in my head I can just hear it ringing. So it's all about trying to like how do you get because I think you're so right in what you're trying to do now, and I think about it. And I hear like, maybe lost, but I feel like there is another level, like that could go. Her voice could be more like like when you find it, when you keep going down this path, I think it'll keep pulling back the curtain on how to do this in a way. And it must be it's interesting to have that in mind, like as a trajectory, like we know what we want to kind of get to. And then how's it been working with producers? Like do you find it easy, difficult, or like in terms of communication? And
I think for me, so if we're playing a show and we have a sound engineer there, normally they'll want, like once they hear me, they're like, oh, I'm going to sit in the show the whole time and do this. And it kills me. Like, I don't like that. I'm just like, if you set my vocal at that point, I'll move around.
Yes.
Yeah, but like everyone gets excited in the moment, where before they were just like, and then we go to a sound check and they're like, no, now I'm going to make a creation out of it, do you know what I mean? And so like that's what we've been trying to avoid with producers who were like, songs. We're going to, we want this to be big.
Yeah.
A big sound because your vocals are big sound. And like, actually, maybe not. Maybe you leave the vocal to just sit on its own.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? So we're trying to kind of explain this for the sound that we're trying to create.
Yes. People's instincts might just be put a wall of sound behind your voice, and they're like, because it's gonna match everything in a way. But you're probably like, we've come down these ways, and we want to.
We've already tried it, and
we're trying for something else.
Yeah. So I don't know. How do you think about like working with producers?
I think it's good. I think I mean, obviously varies on the producers. I think a big thing is when we work with people who have seen a performance.
Yes.
And like get it. It's a lot easier. So like the guitar producer that we were working with, we played with him. He produced stuff with us before. So it's
he did say Margaret.
Oh,
when Tuelo like says like make it. Do do He's like, oh, okay, yeah, I think I get you. Let me like try this, as opposed to sometimes when you're working with somebody new, it's like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
So sometimes it's a little bit tricky to just be able to communicate.
That's it. Yes.
That, especially if you're not in the room. We've done some like remote sessions where it's a little bit tricky. It's nice to be able to do just because we're always moving around and you need to be able to keep things moving. But it's exciting also too, because sometimes you're in the room and you're like, oh my God, I never thought of that. And then they do something and you're like, oh yes, do that,
And it's fun. I think like we're always trying to see how other people interpret the music. Like I don't think we're like, oh, this is ours. It's not. It's just, oh, this is how you thought of it.
Yeah, because people see it in such different ways. Everyone sees it differently. Your favourite bit, someone's most hated bit, and someone's favourite bit. It's like, well, I didn't think that was a good bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, and we hear different things. Like when I was doing my album there, all I can hear is, because I've edited the vocals and stuff myself, so I'm like, all I hear is the vocal and I can't hear anything else. But I'm listening to your song, I hear it, I might even know exactly what's being said in the moment the first time I listen to it, but I just hear the whole thing and I can enjoy it as a whole thing. Whereas with my own stuff, I'm just like, how did I say that word?
You can't ever hear it,
Why did I put too much S on that? Or it's just like, shut up!
It's weird because I taught myself to sing essentially.
Yes.
So I am very careful in terms of, I can do an or an or an or an Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, I literally had to teach myself, oh no, if I'm singing in this voice, I have to control my throat to get it to do a certain thing. But do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And that was the most beautiful journey for me, learning how my voice works, because I also have breathing problems. So how to control myself all the way through and do certain things. That's always that's for me the cool thing. If I can hear myself on a record singing the right way, or even when Kevin's okay, you're on now. And I start singing, I'm like, Kevin, oh, no, stop. I need to change this and change how I'm standing. Or I'm, do you know what I mean? Or I need to move in a different way.
Yes.
My neck's not working, so my throat's actually, I need to be singing like that.
My neck's not working.
I know.
I think you should get that checked.
Every time she goes to high notes, she's just moving away from the mic. I'm like, no, wait, we need that.
Yeah, because you're even performing.
Because I'm really loud. And you know why I do that? Because I think that I'm too loud for people.
Yes. That's why you see me going like this during the whole podcast.
I get it.
I know, yeah. Coming in too hot.
Yeah, I totally get it. I'm the same way. So I feel I'm just
But you built up an intuition of it's something that I learning how you sound when you're being recorded. It gives you a sense of how you sound in the real world. So you kind of have even though you can't really, because you hear yourself whatever through the bones in your skull or whatever. So you hear. That's why everyone when you hear your voice, it sounds a little bit different than what we all hear. But recording stuff and gives you a sense of how to manipulate, like you're saying, I can go and do all these different ways of doing that. So how is singing How have you thought about improving your singing, or when is that something? Because you were saying, all right, just I was a karaoke star or whatever, and then
it was not.
No, but so how? But this is what I mean, like because you went from that. Now you're singing on records, you're producing music and stuff. So how do you think about? How did you go about improving singing, or how did you see that as something that I need to improve this? So how did that thinking come in?
If you want to know this story.
Give me all the information.
You see, after my strange journey of like, why am I so? How can I be so special? Like, how can I be special? One special thing about me, I'm at this karaoke place on a Wednesday with friends, and it's like, so we're just there because it was a thing to do, and like to be honest, like Africa never had karaoke, so like when I got to the US, I was like, what the heck? This is so cool.
Yes.
Also, because I don't drink, you know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
brilliant.
so it's like I can just show up and
like, wake up the next day and be fine.
And sing weirdly, and everyone's going to be like,
oh yeah,
because everyone's And so I went to this karaoke thing, and I was singing. It might have been "Son of a Preacher Man."
Oh wow!
Oh man, I'd love to hear you sing some of this. We need to do a covers EP next.
Well, yeah, we got covers together because we've been busking around town.
We were trying to do covers, and then Kevin was like, "Oh, people don't care about covers. They just like want to hear what you have to say." Like,
yes.
So we kept a few, but I was singing that song, and the gentleman who runs the karaoke came over to me and he said, there's something special about your voice. And I was not singing, like, I could not sing that.
He's living this strange life.
I'm telling you. And he said, you should, how you can, like, really, like, make it better? And I was like, I would like to know, And he was like, you should sing from down there. You're scared to sing. And I was like, my vagina? So like,
you can't say that on the down there.
This is what I'm telling you. But like, I didn't say that to him. But down there, I thought that's what he meant. So the whole time I taught myself to sing, I was like, I have to feel it from down there.
That's so interesting. It's
very embarrassing, but like, and so like for the longest time, it only clicked later. He meant gut. Like when you listen to music teachers that like sing from your gut.
Yeah.
I didn't understand what he.
But you just went lower.
I was like.
But that obviously gave you an innate sense of like the general lower down.
Like it allowed me to like sing in the most powerful way possible.
It's so fun, Joe, and like this is just a tangent. But when you say vagina, and I'm like. My brain interprets, like it tries to feel what it's like to have a vagina, and I get this feeling because if I go on my balls or whatever, you'll be like, your brain will stimulate balls or whatever, like, so I'm like stimulated, okay, I can feel it. Singing for but that's actually so interesting because it probably
sing from there.
Yeah.
It's a very powerful thing. Like for me, it literally changed how I sang.
No way.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I do that.
It is
so interesting.
Give it a try.
Yeah.
But essentially, it's like so it's strange because.
What does that mean to sing like
from your gut?
Yeah.
From the very depth of like
how do you?
I don't know. I mean, I also sing really loudly.
So when I feel I'm singing, maybe I'm singing from my more here, maybe or something.
Oh.
I don't feel like it's coming from like. Can
you hear that? Can you hear that?
Like yeah, it's more like.
That's more chest.
We're doing an audition for the Lion King now. I can feel the difference in a way.
So I started doing that, and then I started. I met this guy who I
on a train,
who was training with this person, like a very very famous music person in New York. But this guy lived in Connecticut, and he like said, all you need to do is do one thing. He was a metal singer. And he was like, I do this thing where I'm like, whoa, every day. But like, it's specific. You have to be really loud. And it, like, those two things changed the way I...
Proceed.
Yeah, I also, like, was comfortable with my voice.
Yes.
And he was just like, do this metal thing every day or all the time.
What is the metal thing?
And it's basically just projecting out as loud as possible, as high as possible. But you could spend an hour doing that. Yes. And it will kill your vocal. Like, it would kill your voice. It will. But it's building up resistance. It's like going to the gym.
So, like, roaring.
Yes.
Like, I don't know if too loud.
But, like
roaring. Yeah.
Like, that, like, for example,
the kind of roar that other houses are going to go, stop.
Right.
I want to kind of go for it. Like,
I mean, you know your neighbors. Go for it.
Like that, not like that.
But like hold it.
More.
Like, or more sing, like more folk, like singing. Like
no. Yes.
Really?
Uh-huh.
I do that.
You do that?
Yeah.
Which it's actually very hard because we have to find places
that's my training.
to do
That's
it.
all I do.
That's my training. Where do you do this training?
That's
someone's gonna knock in and say, "Am I all right?"
Yeah.
So I did it. The lucky thing is that Connecticut was just like very far away houses from each other, and I would sing so loud that I could hear dogs from other houses going woo, like to my singing. Even though the houses were very far, it's like almost farms, really.
Tuelo is somewhat notorious for having animals sing back to while performing. It's happened multiple times.
Even if I'm singing at home.
Wolves, birds.
So it's not just the humans.
Oh my gosh.
It's like, there's definitely a movie where I can just see loads of animals. It probably is The Lion King, where we're all just going to that rock. It's like the beginning of the film. Because they're probably hearing totally different frequencies. Yeah. That's so funny. But where do you find... So, I don't know if you mentioned that just because I got too excited. But with the roaring, like, where do you practice that?
Now I have to go to, like, a music studio. Even though, even there, I think I'm too loud for the other studios. Do you know what I mean? So, I'll do it for a shorter time, like only 20 minutes. But get it in as much as possible.
Wow.
But that's
so cool.
This
is so cool.
Yeah. That's why she needs to just live on a hill.
Right. I need to do that. I need to not live in the city, because in the city I'm like this. Like, if we're playing and we're touring and I'm in a hotel, I'm like this, and like it's a pillow, and I'm like.
No way!
Yeah.
This is brilliant!
I can't do anything, but it helps me. It helps my throat. I'm a person who's like prone to allergies.
Yes.
So it just like builds like resistance.
Wow.
And like
so this is something that you consciously make an effort to practice.
I have to, but I don't really, like, if I'm, like, now I haven't done it in a while.
Yeah.
But I can feel it as soon as I sing, that if I,
If you have done it for a bit. That's so interesting. I never heard of that before.
And it just cleans it out, and also like controls, because then when you're doing that for that long, holding that one note, you can hear your phlegm come in later. You can hear all of these things. You can control it. You can change the to
oh yes.
Yeah.
Because by maxing it out, let's say, then when you're not maxing it out, you've more control probably of the lower realms, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And you're controlling breath. You're controlling when you stop it, and when you do stop it, you can't just stop it abruptly.
So you're not trying to sing with it, you're just roaring.
No, you're not singing.
Yes.
You're just roaring.
Just roaring.
Yeah.
Anyone can do that.
Anyone can do that.
Oh man, we're too loud for that though.
It's true.
It is very loud.
It's very loud and irritating, but it really helped me. It did,
Wow. That's I'm just so happy that I've been equipped. Now, like, my family are gonna hate you now.
There he goes again.
Yeah.
Do you just like one note and then just like 5 minutes?
I can do it in my car.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I used to do that when I had a car in Connecticut, and I'd drive, and other cars would like, I'm at the stop. They're like, because you can hear me from all the other. But I can't even see them. I'm just like, But you know,
I was practicing my singing.
sometimes I wouldn't see the road though.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
I wouldn't see the road, so yeah, no. Don't do that at home, kids.
Yeah. There's a time and place. You have to pick your moments. Jesus, that is so interesting. I'm delighted that like now I can basically finish the podcast because like I got all the knowledge now. Wow. But it's just so funny your life how just like this happened. I don't know if I've that many like pointers in my own thing. There's moments of like epiphany, let's say, but it's never just someone on a train or something like. It's just a lonely epiphany or whatever. But then, so just going back then to the EP that's coming out. How's the work? So is the latest single a part of that EP?
So the remix EP is coming out next week.
Yes.
So yes, the Happier remix.
What day? Well, hopefully this will be out next Sunday.
Friday the 24th.
Oh, this is on next Sunday.
Oh yeah, so
cool.
So when's that again? Well, the release.
It just came out.
Yeah,
it's either just out or just came out.
So we'll get links.
We'll get links. So that it has 3 remixes on it. So there's Happier, Trouble, and then Queen of Nothing.
The Queen.
Yes.
You can how does that go? Can you give me a chorus? Right, do you mind if you sing me a little chorus or something?
I don't know. Like my voice is never good enough.
Shut up! Right.
Yeah.
What's the Queen will go like a little bit?
Wait. This our home here. This where love began on earth. See, I'm singing solo.
Yeah. Give me it. Come on.
We want laughter. We want lovers to shine first.
Yeah.
They, them, those of us. I'm too shy.
What? Stop it!
I'll say here I can't say. You see, I'd be so bad in one of those like radio stations where I have to sing something.
Unless they put you in a vocal booth.
I guess I'm way too loud.
Where's the Queen bit? Like, just give me that
so
bit.
Loud.
Shut up! I'm after roaring.
There you go. Queen of nothing, Queen of nothing, you are everything. Queen of nothing. You know I'm singing an octave higher.
Alright, well look, that was a teaser, right?
Call me Queen.
Yeah, you can call me Queen. It's so funny because I can see your head go out the side in the performance.
Because it's so loud, it's like.
Yeah, it's so funny, but I get it. But you get a sense of when you sing into something, you hear yourself back. That's a part. Like my technique is a part of the singing stuff because you can actually
hear yourself.
Yeah, you can hear yourself. Like if you can't actually hear yourself properly, it can mess you up. Like there was one gig where I did. It was just open mic, and they had a monitor right in front of me, and I could hear myself like as good as I've ever heard myself. And I was like, "Whoa, this is so different!" Because like as I'm singing, I can like. I had more control
monitors.
Because also for me, if the monitor is not like strong enough, I can't hear it. I'm trying to sing louder than the band.
Oh, interesting.
Because they're too loud for me, so I'm assuming that you can't hear me.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. Yeah, monitors.
So monitors are
the
big.
monitors are essential.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have toyed around with in-ear monitors, but they're so annoying.
Oh.
Yeah.
But they actually work sometimes if they're done well.
They do actually work sometimes.
So how long are you going to be in Ireland for?
Another month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Producing. Thank you for sending us a producer we can.
Shout for Rob. It's all about just sticking your proverbial fingers in all the pies and seeing which kind of sticks, right? But for me, Rob's been brilliant. Shout out to Rob, Startup CBA.
Shout out to Rob.
So you're gonna be here for another month.
Yes, and then we're doing a show.
Ooh.
This is new news.
Promotion.
New news out now.
Yes.
So we're having a Irish and UK radio release of the EP on April 14th.
Oh.
And we're doing a show to celebrate that. It's a Friday. April 14th. If you go to our website.
What is the website?
You can RSVP.
Tuelo.com.
Tuelo Music.
Tuelomusic.com.
Ah, brilliant.
And then to say /RSVP?
/AMFM.
/AMFM, which is the...
And then you can RSVP and come.
The EP.
It'll be a special little evening.
No, I think I actually... it's such a shame. So there's this thing... There's a festival on in... don't know if you've ever been to Donegal, but it's like 3.5 hours away.
No.
But there's like... they're doing this thing where you... it's like X Factor, but for to perform at the gig. But I'm doing. It looks like I'm on the 14th. It's a Friday.
Oh, cool.
So.
That sounds.
But anyway, we'll see. Yeah, it should be fun actually.
That's
whatever
awesome.
happens with it, I'm gonna at least get my music out in front of people.
Oh, you guys sing? Oh, that's
yeah.
good.
So it's like
great.
you perform for judges, or whatever. It's
Cool.
like a little mini
cool.
X Factor in a way
Yeah.
to perform at to get a headline. I'd say there'd be bands and stuff, but even if they just give me a little. I don't have to win.
Yeah,
I don't have to get the big stage. Just give me a little stage there. We all.
That's awesome.
But anyway, But anyway, the 14th of April, so that might be out for me, unfortunately. But anyway, don't be worried about me. You just worry about yourself. Where's that happening?
At the bunker.
The bunker.
It's a studio right by Connolly.
Nice, ready for the apocalypse.
Yeah.
Always ready.
Yes.
Yeah,
know when to run.
you have to know when to run. But no, I really appreciate you coming on. And, I think this has been great, and
we're excited to hear your new music because
time to promote me.
Yes,
First
exactly.
of March. Now taking it all back to Nelson, which was it's funny. Like, do you have because that song you did about Tuelo. That's kind of like a home song in a way for you, is it? Like
I have many.
You already have many,
Yes, but for different homes.
Oh.
But I get is it Nelson?
Not really. It's like it was a town in New Zealand. Basically, I was with this girl and then we broke up, but then we decided, we'll still travel around New Zealand for 3 weeks because she was from New Zealand, and then her hometown in Nelson, we stopped off there. So it's like, then I was talking to her dad about this song by the Bee Gees called they have Massachusetts, I think it's called. I didn't even know the song, but I just thought a place name. I was like, take me on back to Nelson. And it sounded just so right. I don't know what it was. So I had that for a chorus, and then it's just like a song about that. Anyway, I'm looking, but there's 13 more songs, 12 more songs, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And, but hopefully the singles will get better. Like, I'm excited about this one, but then the next one should be alright, but the next two after that, I'm really excited for it. Like the final two singles.
You're putting out 4 singles.
I'm putting out 4 singles and then the album in September. Because so many songs, like you might as well milk it.
Totally.
And you have to build it up. Imagine if I just release it now, there's no buzz about it.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of, and then it's more interesting. Anyway, there's a whole methodology to it.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I appreciate that, and we'll
That's
definitely
awesome.
we'll be keeping an eye out for Tuelo and the Machine. Do you do any music? Like, is there anything like where it's like kevinmusic.com?
No.
Okay.
There's no kevinmusic.com.
Yeah.
It just lives in Tuelo.
Yeah.
Kevin Music.
It's all together.
Kevin Tuelo Music.
I know it's brilliant that you have come together and you facilitate each other in such a cool way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's the partnership and the machine.
You need that.
Yes.
It's essential.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very
Parts
true.
are greater than the whole, but still special.
Yes.
I don't know if there's anything else you need to get off your chests right now. Or forever hold your peace.
No, thank you. This was great.
This was great.
Well, thank you very much for
Thanks
coming
having
out.
us.
And I'm just happy that you got to sing a little bit because I was like,
I didn't sing at all.
I know, but we can't. I don't care. For me, I'd hate to have left this place and like been like, I should have asked her to sing something like in a way because I was like, a part of me was thinking out of my head because I only have this one life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it is one of the loudest songs. So.
Yes.
Yeah,
So I can't wait to get it on Spotify and elsewhere.
Yes.
But we will catch you